G'day guys, Chills20 here and welcome back to Parkitect. Thank you all so much for the warm welcome back to Parkitect. It is really nice to be back, and it's really nice to know that there's still a strong community and a strong fan base behind this game. I really do think that Parkitect is a really special game. I think that isometric games are just in general are just, quite amazing, and I really hope that those sort of games don't just die out because there's, bigger and better graphics that they could be utilizing, because I don't know, I just think that isometric view, there's a lot of value in these sort of games, and I'm really happy to have a game like Parkitect that's still based around theme park building and creativity, and still using the isometric view. So I am still really keen on this game, and it's really nice to know that you guys are interested in these videos, because that really does help me to keep motivated. So yeah, continue making that noise so I know that you guys are interested. It can be a bit hard to tell through YouTube analytics to know how engaged people are, because the views don't really give you a good idea of how long people are really tuning in for, and whether or not people are even watching your stuff or just clicking for like 1 minute and then bailing. So keep on letting me know, answer my questions, give me suggestions, just hit me up, because that way I know that people are still keen, and then I'll just be more motivated to make these videos. So yeah, thank you to everyone who did that. Today we are going to be continuing work on developing around the outskirts of the theme park. We're still a while away from actually getting inside the gates of the park and working on any rides, and even the main entrance. Although technically this is the entrance to the park, though it sits on the outskirts of the actual theme park. So this is inspired by Universal Studios. Pretty much any Universal Studios have this like commercial district, this shopping area that sits on the outside of the park. So you don't actually technically have to buy a ticket to go inside the actual theme park to access this area, and $2 Studios also follows suit. We have our own commercial district that you can, anyone can basically access. You can go down and get a burger or go shopping in this area, and you don't actually have to go inside or ride any of the rides. Though it is still built by $2 Studios, it is still my area. I still probably make a big profit from it, and it was all built within the same time of the theme park. So $2 Studios also built this area, and yeah, it's still all owned by me. So that's the way that it works. And yeah, that's sort of, again, inspired by Universal Studios. I don't know if any other sort of theme parks do the same thing. I'm not sure if Disney, I've never been to any of the Disneylands, but maybe they do something similar, or maybe there's other parks that do something similar. I'm not really sure. But I just like that concept that, you enter into the park through this area that is actually public space, but it's totally owned by the park. And that is why the rest of the surrounding, like the commercial area that we built in the last episode looks quite different to this area. And that's because I wanted this area to feel as if it was built by $2 Studios. It was, this whole area is very modern, whereas all the other stores and factories around here don't have the same feel to it, if you know what I mean. And also this whole area is, because it is owned by $2 Studios, it is, all playable space. So, we are still building on the outside of the park, but when I unpause the game and we watch people start trickling in, there'll be shops here, there'll be rides here, hidden within these buildings, and it'll all be, I'll still be, functioning with this area and working on this area. So, pretty much the entire map is going to be owned by the park, and that way I'll be able to work on it as we continue working on this park, so that's all sort of areas that we can still have access to. So basically the way that this works is there's a train station that's up on the top right corner, and there's a pedestrian path that then connects its way all the way across the highway and goes across to the actual theme park. And there's also going to be there's actually going to be a car park as well, and a multi-story car park. And both those areas are where the people generators are, and the park entrances will be around there too, so that they'll be pretty much entering the park as soon as they leave the car park and the train station. So they'll be the only spaces that aren't owned by me. And then as they make their way into this commercial district, there's going to be a whole bunch of shops, like souvenir stores and info desks and food areas as well, like restaurants and stuff. And you can see what I'm working on at the moment is a whole bunch of hotels that sit above this commercial area. And I guess all the hotels will be owned by the theme park as well. I don't think that these will be residential. I think they'd probably just be owned by the actual park. And I wanted this whole area to feel very modern and very new, because I would imagine that GeIL Studios is quite a modern park. So I wanted all this area to be very modern. So I'm trying to go for a lot of modern architecture. Again, taking inspiration from mostly Universal Studios in Japan. So maybe a lot of these buildings have a bit more of an Asian style architecture to them, but I don't know. I was just sort of going for a general modern, I don't know, style of building. I'm not really sure. I'm not like the best at building these sort of buildings in Parkitect, but I definitely like the way that these turn out, and I can feel my architecture improving, my architectural design in this game improving. It's definitely a step up from what I was doing last year at least. But I do love how modern these places are, and I was really just like copying a lot of the buildings. So I don't know if you guys have been to any of the Universal Studios, particularly Universal Studios in Japan, because yeah, I'd really love to know if you guys have, and if you're familiar with the place, because you might recognize some of the buildings or at least some of the architecture. But it's funny because you know, I was actually trying to copy these buildings to a T, and then they always turn out different. It's the same with City Skylines. How, you know, you try and copy something, but then like no matter what you do, you always get your own flair put onto it. But like I said in the last episode, I think that this is probably based in the US rather than somewhere in Asia. Mostly because I think that other architectural styles of the surrounding town are probably more American style than anything else. But you know, that's open to interpretation. I'll be taking inspiration from pretty much every place. So I've just placed down the car park. This is built by somebody else. Again, get in touch if you see me place it down in any of your buildings, because I'm going to be placing down a whole bunch of pre-built stuff as well as my own stuff I'll be placing down. And if you're wondering, I'm planning on putting a lot of my buildings that I build in this series up on the workshop. So if you do want any of the buildings, then let me know, but I do plan on sticking a lot of them up on the workshop, and especially if I start making collections, you know, if I make a whole bunch of warehouses, or if I make a bunch of factories, or even some of these like shop fronts. I think a lot of these shop fronts turn out pretty nice. So if you are interested, please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to pop them up. And if you guys are interested in making any sort of like factories or other buildings to go around the surrounding of the park, then let me know, because I'll be more than happy to. Well, I mean, that'd be really lovely if you could make some, because I think it's going to be definitely a challenge to continuing, you know, especially expanding out the entire map. I think I'm going to definitely need some help, because I don't know if I can create every single building, but I'm pretty keen to do most of the buildings within the park. But yeah, I might need your help. So if you're interested in helping out, then yeah, hit me up. Yeah, so I just built that garage, that car park, however you like to call it. That's where people are going to be spawning, and I decided to create a bit of a backlot here where I plan to place some like goods services to come in, so that we actually get workers coming behind here and using it, so that they can get some goods around the park, at least around where, you know, we've been building. And yeah, you can also see that I'm using a lot of the base game foliage at this stage. I do plan to stop, so I actually pre-recorded this. The next couple of episodes I've pre-recorded, but then down the track I do end up using some other foliage, so don't worry about that. I do like the aesthetic of, you know, this foliage, the base game foliage, but there's an amazing pack. I can't remember who created it, but it is like full of really nice trees and bushes and vines and stuff, so that I'll end up placing them down instead and replacing all the stuff that I've already placed down. But you know, that's fine. I'm sure I'll survive. And hey, that might look a bit familiar. Do you guys recognize the style of that building? Because that is from Dollarwood, the old one. Not Dollarwood, sorry, GeIL Studios, the old version. Yeah, I ended up reusing a lot of that, because I did like what I builds there. I just didn't like how big the building was. I felt like I could do a better job at that. But in this sort of situation, in this environment, I think it fits in a lot better. So I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. And also the tiles that I'm using on the ground, I ended up replacing them with asphalt. So you'll see that in the next episode. But you know, a lot of the ground color and even a lot of the colors, I tend to sort of like my style is I build the thing, including the ground or the building, and then I decide on how the color scheme should look. But I think my sense of color scheme is getting a lot better within this game. It was really bad at first. I had no idea what to do. You know, I guess coming from City Skylines where you don't really have much to do with the color of things, I didn't really know how to work on it, but yeah, using it now, I feel a lot better, way more confident. And really making the most of these shapes. So, you know, using a lot of walls, but also using these shapes to create some more interesting style of buildings, and they work really well, and you'll see me do that a lot more in episodes to come. But guys, we are starting to get towards the end of the episode, a little bit shorter. Next episode we'll do potentially a live play, but I just want to like fill out this area and start getting people to come in so we can actually see the park working and moving, and you know, people interacting with it, because I think that's the beauty of the game, is actually the functionality. But yeah, like I said at the very beginning, I am such a sucker for isometric. I really love this sort of stuff. And it is a bit cartoony, but I think this game, I think Parkitect really embrace it in such a nice way, which I'm totally on board about. But guys, that is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching, very much appreciated. I do want to give a special shout out to some of my patrons like Booster, Daniel Delgado, and Leo Horton. Guys, thank you so much for your support, and thank you guys so much for the warm welcome back to the game. I am really enjoying myself, and I'm glad you guys are too. But until next time, have a great week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!